What is going on YouTube? It is your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube tutorial we're going to be covering a high drop fade with a 3-guard with the grain on top. And we're going to get right into this tutorial today by applying some of my NTV curling foam on top just to lay the hair down and get everything in place before we start cutting the hair. And it's very important that you guys brush the hair out and comb it out before you actually begin fading into it. That way you can take out any tangled hairs or any dust that might be trapped in your client's scalp. So now that I have the foam all combed and brushed through my client's scalp, I went ahead and used the 3-guard with the grain just to knock down all the little flyaways and get my client's hair to lay flat. This is just knocking down probably about ½ an inch all throughout the crown of my client's cut. And now we're gonna go ahead and begin the fade using my gamma hitters. And you guys can see that I did drop this first guideline right behind my client's ear, just because it is gonna be a drop fade in the back. My client did want to maintain most of the weight on his crown area. And I do have these trimmers right here 0 gapped, so it was very easy for me to carve in that first initial bald line with them. And now I'm going to go ahead and bald everything down to the skin. And I do like this ceramic blade for these trimmers because it keeps the blade cool, so I can cut all day with these without them getting hot on me. But if you guys want to save some money, feel free to use my code NEVIN10 on the Gamma website. And now that I have my first guideline established, I'm going to go ahead and use my saber clippers with the lever all the way open to carve in our next guideline. And this is cutting the hair down to a 0.5 length. So with this guideline, you guys can see that I brought it up about 1 inch right above our trimmer guideline. And little by little, I'm going to begin closing the lever 1 notch at a time, just to knock out that first guideline that we created, ensuring that we can blend the 0 into the 0.5. And just be patient with it. Sometimes you guys are gonna have to angle the clipper at certain angles just because the hair grows at different angles on the scalp. So depending on how the hair grows out is gonna depend how you have to angle the clipper to cut the hair. And basically when I'm doing this, I just like to use the corner of my clipper. I personally think it's easier to use the corner rather than the full blade, just because you can disperse out the hair and corner out the dark spots a little bit easier. And you guys could see that that first guideline was able to be blended out little by little as we close the lever. So to get right into the next step in this haircut, I'm gonna go ahead and use the 0 guard all the way open, or the ½ guard. So this is basically cutting the hair down to a short number 1 guard length. And now I'm gonna erase that guideline using the ½ guard all the way open. And we're just gonna begin doing lever play. Again, closing that lever 1 notch at a time to knock out that guideline. And and just be patient with it. Some hair texture is going to be a little easier than others to blend out. In this case, my client had some really thick hair texture, so I had to be very precise and consistent with how I blended out each guideline. And this guard right here is basically what brings the whole entire fade together. So just be patient and be consistent with every stroke that you guys are doing, ensuring that you can give your client the cleanest haircut you possibly can. So now that we have the lever all the way closed, we're just attacking that last section. And to begin the next step, I went ahead and put on the 1.5 guard, and I'm just cutting the hair with the grain right here, knocking off any last flyaways on the parietal ridge and occipital area of my client. And now flipping the clipper around, we're gonna cut the hair against the grain. First starting with the lever open and then doing the same steps closing the lever. And now with the 1 guard all the way open, we're gonna just detail out any last dark areas in the top of our blend. Again, just staying right beneath that parietal ridge area. And if you guys have learned anything in this tutorial so far, please be sure to smash that like button. I do appreciate any feedback you guys leave me. Please be sure to drop a comment if you guys want me to drop a specific tutorial. And now to begin the lineup, I always like to start off with the box and then just follow it by hitting the natural line right in the front, creating a nice clean 90-degree angle. And little by little, the blend is coming together. You guys could see that with these simple steps, I was able to achieve a nice, clean, blurry blend. And now I'm just doing some detail work with my clippers, just dispersing out any last dark areas that I see. And it's always important that you guys go back and detail your work, just to be sure that you can get the blend as clean as possible. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do some shear over comb just to detail out the top of my fade into the bulk of my client's head. And this basically is just creating more contrast in the parietal ridge and the occipital bone area above the fade. And I personally do like to use shears in all of my haircuts just because it makes the blend pop out a lot more as opposed to using the clippers. Shears give off more of a lighter, smoother finish. And when you guys are doing this, you can see that I'm just rolling that comb off of the scalp. It's very important that you roll the comb out, otherwise you can create a gash in your client's head. So just be sure to roll out that comb whenever doing shear over comb. And one more time with my razor. I always like to clean up behind my client's ear with the razor to knock off all those little stubborn hairs that you can't see. And one more time on the lineup, going up against the grain just to make all those details pop out. But that is about it for today's high drop fade tutorial with the 3 guard on top. If you guys learned anything in this video, again, please be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But it's been your boy NevinTheBarber, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.